All right, Shalom and Barakathum, Thum Yad. All praises, honor, and glory be to the God of heaven and earth, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. This is the Brother Sakalah back with a lesson all through the Spirit. And today I'm going to touch on geography in World War III. And I'm dealing with the Euphrates, which is often spoken of throughout the Holy Scriptures, the river Euphrates, which runs from Syria through the western part of the country that's known today as Iraq, which was ancient Babylon, down through the central part and into the southern part, and it actually empties out in the Persian Gulf, which is in the country known as Kuwait. So I'm going to touch on that, and also I'm going to give honors to the elect elders of the nation of Israel, who are laboring in truth and in sincerity on the four corners of the earth. Barakim La, Habayath, Madabada, blessings to the house of David, which are your brothers laboring, and to the Akim and Agwath, brothers and sisters that also listen and believe on the glorious gospel being preached throughout the four corners of the earth. And to you, I say Shalom, Shalom, and Barakathum Thum Yad. So let's start here, going into geography in World War III, which is what we're seeing, what's going on globally, is the Most High bringing the nations to the valley of Jehoshaphat, the valley where he's going to judge them. Jehoshaphat being Yahweh Shaphat in the Hebrew, the place where God, the Most High, is going to actually judge the nations. This is the book of Revelation 9 and verse 14. It says, saying to the sixth angel, which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. Let's read that again. Revelation 9 and verse 14. I'm going to read it in the NLT this time. And it says, and the voice said to the sixth angel who held the trumpet, release the four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. So there's four angels that's there, that's holding back that wind, that destruction. Just as we know in Revelation, the 7th chapter, there's four angels on the four corners. Now you also have four angels mentioned of here that's bound at the great river Euphrates to hold everything intact until the actual time that the Most High want for the next level of prophecy to come to pass, as it says in the book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. The visions are yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak and not lie. So the Most High has an appointed time where each prophecy is to happen here in the last days. So these angels are actually there doing their job, keeping those nations in that region intact until the Most High is ready to unleash, the destruction is promised. And where's that destruction is promised? This is in the book of Zephaniah 3 and 8. These rivers, these angels at the river Euphrates, right, is mentioned of here Revelation, but different precepts give you more insight on why those angels are there. This is the book of Zephaniah 3 and 8. Therefore, wait ye upon me, saith the Lord Yahweh, and that's to the believers that are awakening to the truth, known as the elect, the Bakarim in the Hebrew. Therefore, wait ye upon me, saith Yahweh, and that's what we're doing, the believers. We're waiting. We're being patient, meaning we're suffering. We're suffering patiently the wrath that's come upon us, which are the curses, because we know that on the other side of the curses is forever, are all the promises in Deuteronomy 28, verses 1 through 14. So we're waiting for the promises. Therefore, wait ye upon me, saith Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey, for my determination, which goes into judgment. So the Most High's determination or judgment is to gather the nations. And where is he gathering them? Near the great river Euphrates. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them my indignation, even all my fierce anger. For all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. So that's going to bring World War III. World War III. Now let's get a few precepts just to touch on that. So the anger of the Lord is going to bring forth World War III. Isaiah, the 9th chapter. Isaiah 9 and verse 5, it says, and I'll highlight this, Isaiah 9 and verse 5, it says, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire, speaking of World War III. So it's going to be different than any other time, where nuclear weapons are going to be used, ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, hypersonic missiles, which are those flying arrows, also known as destroyers, wasters, glittering spears, glittering sword. That's what this is called in the Holy Scriptures, which are the missiles, the ICBMs, spoken of by the prophets. They were using the vernacular of their time to be able to describe the things, the visions that they were seeing, and the things that they were told to actually write down. So it says, this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. So this war is going to be different than all other wars that's been on the earth. World War I, II. The third one is going to be with burning and fuel of fire. And what's going to fuel the fire? The missiles, the intercontinental ballistic missiles once again. So the four angels, as we read here in Revelation 9 and 14, are holding back, the nations from actually going ahead and fulfilling this, because particular things have to be done. Everything the Most High said would be done will be done before the end. Because it tells us nation will rise against nation, but the end is not yet. And what's the reason why it would say that? Well, this would be the cue for the believers to see and know that we're close and what to actually look for. Jeremiah 51 and 60. So Jeremiah wrote in a book all the evil that should come upon Babylon. Now, during Jeremiah's time, going back to ancient Babylon, when you look up ancient Babylon, it says ancient Babylon, some basic information, fell to the Persian Empire under Cyrus the Great in 539 BCE, or before the Common Era. This event marked the end of the Neo-Babylonian Empire and the beginning of Persian control over the Fertile Crescent. And that region is where the river Euphrates is at. Let's keep reading. While some accounts suggest the city was taken without a fight, others indicate that Cyrus' forces entered after diverting the Euphrates River, potentially during a religious festival. So we see how important the Euphrates River is, Salakia, prophetically, because this is where the nations would be gathering. When we read in Zephaniah, the 3rd chapter, the 8th verse, the Valley of Jehoshaphat, the same area, the same region, the Fertile Crescent. Going back to Jeremiah 51 and 60. So Jeremiah wrote in a book all the evil that should come upon Babylon. He's speaking about future tense, what would come to, because that ain't what happened to ancient Babylon. What we're going to read about here in Jeremiah and in the book of the prophets, speaking of the times of the end. So Jeremiah wrote in a book all the evil that shall come upon Babylon, even all those words that were written against Babylon. And Jeremiah said to Sariah, when thou comest to Babylon, and shalt see, and shalt read all these words, then shalt thou say, O Lord Yahweh, thou hast spoken against this place to cut it off. Now ancient Babylon was cut off, but let's keep reading. That none shall remain in it. So today, currently, in ancient Babylon, or the country of Iraq, there's people that dwell and live all within that land. And the ancient city of Babylon is near what is today the city of Karbala, when you look it up. Karbala. And I've been fortunate to go all the way through that country. I spent 3 years there. So in that land today, people actually dwell there. You have the ruins of it when you drive by it and you see it. But people actually live and inhabit it in those areas right near where those ruins are at. So here it says, Jeremiah says in Jeremiah 51 and verse 62, then shalt thou say, O Yahweh, thou hast spoken against this place to cut it off, that none shall remain in it. Well, there's people still remaining in ancient Babylon. Neither man nor beast, but that it should be desolate forever. So this couldn't be talking about ancient Babylon, speaking about America, Babylon to come. Verse 63, and it shall be, when thou hast made an end of reading this book, that thou shalt bind a stone to it and cast it into the midst of the Euphrates. And we see the Euphrates is being used again here, prophetically. Oftentimes, showing the destination, a particular place or this region where World War III is going to happen, because this is also known, as we read, as the Fertile Crescent. It's also known as Mesopotamia. And, it's also known as the mother of us all in this region. And we're going to show that in the book of Galatians, the 4th chapter, here in a second. So Jeremiah said, "And thou shalt bind a stone unto it, and cast it into the midst of the Euphrates. And thou shalt say, Thus shall Babylon sink, and shall not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her. And they shall be weary." It says, thus far are the words of Jeremiah. So these are the words that Jeremiah spoke. So it says it wouldn't be inhabited no more. It would sink, and it wouldn't rise again. Well, once again, in ancient Babylon, there's people that live there by the tune of millions all throughout the cities. Cities such as named as Mosul, which is where Jonah was at, which is in Nineveh, is also known there in Iraq as Nineveh province. You also have Baghdad, which is the capital. You also have Basra in the southern region, Nazareth in the southern region, Kirkuk in the northern region. So these are all parts where there's cities where there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands and millions of people in this land. So this is speaking about Babylon for those that can receive it. Now, all the names of this area, and you see the Euphrates being used here, and I want to talk about that very briefly. It's not going to be a long lesson because I got to go link up with the brother Zakar here in a little bit. But I wanted to speak about that. So Galatians, why is in Jeremiah that's being used speaking about the river Euphrates? Let's touch on that. So this is Galatians 4 and verse 26. But Jerusalem, which is the city of peace, but Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. So that's the true homeland or motherland. That's the true homeland, is Jerusalem. And in that area where the 4 rivers were at that fed the Garden of Eden, the river Euphrates is mentioned often, because that is that region, the same region where is mentioned of the valley of Jehoshaphat. That's the same region. Mesopotamia, the Fertile Crescent, that's all the same place. So Jerusalem, it says, is the mother of us all. Now, let's get this real quick. In the book of 2nd Ezra, the 5th chapter. So it says Jerusalem is the mother of us all. So this is 2nd Ezra 5 in verse 24. And of all lands of the whole world, thou hast chosen thee one pit, and of all the flowers thereof one lily. And of all the depths of the sea, thou hast filled thee one river. And of all builded cities, thou hast hollowed Zion unto thyself, which is Jerusalem. So when you read down from here, it's making mention of the children of Israel. And in verse 24 again, 2nd Ezra 5 and 24, it says, of all the lands of the world, these are all the things that the Lord, the Most High, has deemed great in his sight, that is perfect and good, and things that he made really to last forever. It says, in all the lands of the whole world, thou hast chosen thee one pits or land masses. And that pit would be Jerusalem, which we just read is the mother of us all in Galatians 4 and 26. And of all the flowers thereof, one lily. These are all the things that the Most High favors, that he loves. And of all the depths of the sea, thou hast filled thee one river. That's the river Jordan. And of all builded cities, thou hast hollowed Zion unto thyself. And that would be, once again, the monument of the Lord, Israel and the city of Jerusalem. Now, let's go back, because when we read in Jeremiah 51, I want to touch on something. It talked about Babylon sinking and never rising again. Let's get a precept for that before we close it out. This is the book of Revelation, the 18th chapter. Revelation 18, starting at verse 20, it says, rejoice over her, thou heaven and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God or the Most High have avenged you on her. Who was the her? Babylon the Great. Now that's being mentioned of here in the book of Revelation. So what Jeremiah was speaking about was future tense. In the book of Revelation, that was talking about, what was to come. The 4 angels is at the river Euphrates. Revelation 18 and 21, and a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea. Now it said before, it talked about in Revelation, the 9th chapter, and then it talked about the river Euphrates, and I wanted to touch on that. And then now also in Revelation, in Jeremiah 51, it talked about cast a book into the river Euphrates. Well, there's a parallel here in the spirit, Revelation 18 and 21. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone, symbolic of the missiles, and cast it into the sea. Now, when Jeremiah said to cast the book into the sea, that would be mentioning the end, showing you that here at the end in Revelation, the 18th chapter, it's talking about the destruction of Babylon. Well, that will be the end. So the book being cast into the river Euphrates is a similitude here in Revelation 18 and 21 as an angel taking up a mighty stone like a great millstone and casting it into the sea. And cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down and shall be found no more at all. Meaning it's going to be destroyed. So when you go back into what we read in Jeremiah 51, it said here in 63, and it shall be when thou hast made an end of reading this book. And the last book in the Bible is the book of Revelation. So you would go to Revelation to see this. And it shall be when thou hast made an end of reading this book, that thou shalt bind a stone to it. Yeah, this is talking about the book of Jeremiah, but it's tied to the book of Revelation. Let's keep reading. Thou shalt bind a stone to it and cast it into the midst of the Euphrates. So that will be the fall of Babylon. That will be the end. And thou shalt say, thus shall Babylon sink and shall not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her, and they shall be weary. Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. So going back to Revelation 18 and 21, and a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down and shall be found no more at all. So that's the destruction of Babylon. So I don't want to write the Zah. This lesson finds you in peace. And it was edifying to the believers, the Akim and Akwath. And this is another volume of geography in World War III dealing with the Euphrates River. I want to give all praises, infinite honor, and glory to the God of heaven and earth, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Honors be to the elect elders of the nation of Israel. Barakim La Habayath Madabada. Blessings to the house of David, which are your brothers laboring, and to the Akim Wa Akwath, brothers and sisters that also listen and believe on the glorious gospel being preached throughout the four corners of the earth. Unto you I say Shalom, Shalom, and Barakatam, Tam Yah.